Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a broken link checker program with the Lynx browser. It's going to be a very simple shell script. We're going to use Lynx and curl, which I've covered in tutorials on my website. The links will be in the description. I'm also making this video so that you can see somebody walk through it. So in the tutorial I mentioned make a new directory, so let's make the directory. And then we'll cd into that directory, change directory into link scraper. Now you can see there's nothing in here. ls means list the contents, and -a means show all the files. So there's nothing in there. Now let's create the file, the program. So we'll say touch broken link checker. The touch command just creates a file. So now when we list the directory contents, we can see broken link checker is there. So the next step is to make the file executable so that the computer knows that it's a program that can be run and not just full of content. So to do that we use the chmod command and we say +x, which means make this file executable, and then we type the file name and hit enter. Okay, so let's open up the code editor. I'm going to type code and then a dot. The dot just means the current directory. Now you can see here we have this broken link checker file that's empty. Let's start writing some code. So the first thing is a line that tells the computer which programming language to interpret this file with. And that language is going to be bash. So this is a special line that just means find wherever bash is on the system and then execute this code with the bash interpreter. Now let's make sure that it works. So let's say message, and we'll say hello world, and then here we'll say echo. Echo just means print message. Now if we wrote the word message here, this program would just type out the word message. To tell it that it's an actual variable that needs to be replaced, we use a $. So now you can open up the terminal in VS Code, which is just control backtick. And I think you can also get to it from view here, and then terminal somewhere here. Terminal. So you can see there's the broken link checker. To run a script in the local directory, you first push a dot. That means the current directory, slash, and then the name of the file. Now when I hit enter, it should print out hello world. Just to show you what happens when I remove the $sign here. Now it's not going to use hello world anymore because it doesn't know that that's a variable. It's just going to print the word message. So that's why we use a $sign when we're referring to variables. So going back to our other script that we did in the last video. So what I'll do is I'll write the code here and then I'll explain it. Okay, so this is the code. Remember, if you saw the last video, the backslashes here just mean continue on to the next line. So this just makes it a little bit more readable. And the pipe character means take the output of one command and send it into the next command. So this first command is going to pipe with this pipe character into the grep command, which is going to pipe into the sort command, which is going to pipe into the unique command. So this will scrape the links. This will make sure that every line that we return is a link and not anything else. Then we're going to sort it, and then we're going to filter out the duplicates. One more thing I want to mention before I run it is this $1. When we run the program, we're going to run it like this. So we're going to say broken link checker, and we'll put a URL here, example.com. Now this thing that we put after it gets passed in as an argument to this program. And $1 just means take the first argument and insert it right here. So we're saying dump the output. Sorry, there's an extra space here. We're saying dump the output from this URL and sort the links. There's only one link on example.com, but I'll run it just to show you. And you can see there it is. So now what we need to do is save. Let's run it on actually a bigger page. So let's go here and I'll say scrape target. .netlify.app, and you can see here there's 30 links or something, and it's nicely formatted so we can process it with a different part of the script. Okay, so we have our command. Now we want to assign it to a variable. So we're going to call this variable URLs, and we're going to say assign URLs to whatever the output of the command inside of this little parentheses thing is. So let's wrap this like this. Okay, so now our original command here is just inside of these parentheses, and there's a $sign. And that just means take this output and send it into this variable. To make sure it works, let's just echo that out. Echo or print it. Now I'm going to open the terminal again and run the same command, /broken link checker, and then the URL here. So when I hit enter, we should see the output. Now notice this time that each URL is it's all on the same line, and each one is separated by a space. And it's going to be hard to loop over that by itself, but there's a way that we can do it. What we want to do is loop over each URL, and we want to run a command, and that command is curl. Let me show you curl quickly if you've never used it before. So curl. Now this is going to fetch all the HTML from example.com. And there's the HTML. There are ways to just extract certain information out of it. So we could say curl -o dev null. -o means send the output into dev null. And that's a place on your computer where you send things that you don't care about. It just is an empty void that disappears. And we'll say -s, which means silent mode, to make sure it doesn't print out a progress bar. We'll say -w, which means give us a variable, and that variable is going to be called HTTP code. And that's the HTTP status code, like 200, 404, 301, that kind of thing. And now let's do example.com again. So now you can see it gave us 200. So there was no problem there. Example.com exists. If we want to try a page that doesn't exist, we could say it doesn't exist, and we should get a 404 here. So now the program has told us that that page doesn't exist. So the way we can use this in our script is to loop over every URL. Let's write out some comments that tell us what we're going to do next. So first we're going to loop over the URLs, and then we are going to fetch each URL with curl, and then we're going to print the HTTP status code, and lastly we'll save the output to a file. There's one more thing that I forgot to mention here. We need to convert the output to an array. If you remember here, we just have a blob of text, URLs that are separated with spaces here. We need to turn that into an array. And the way you do that in Bash is just, we could say URLs array equals $URLs. And that's just going to make an array. Now we want to loop over each URL, so we could say for URL in URLs array. And we have to wrap it like this and put an @ sign there, and that lets us loop over it. Then a semicolon, then we say do, and then here we write done. And in the middle, this is our curl command. So that is here. Now the curl command is echo. We want to echo the output of a command, so we're going to say echo $open parentheses curl -o dev null. We're going to ignore the output except for the variable that we're going to add in a minute. -s means don't print a status bar. -w means grab just this one variable. We have to add one more thing, and that is the URL. And I'm wrapping the URL here, that's this URL. Remember, it's a variable, so we have to start it with a $sign, And because the URL might have spaces in it, we wrap it in quotes to make sure that it can be read correctly. So you can see it's printing out 200 for each link that it fetches. That part is working, except we don't know which code goes with which URL. So the solution to that is just on the end here. You can write $URL, and that will print the URL. And what I'm going to do here is use a tab character. So \T is a tab, and that will make it nicely formatted. But in order to use the tab character, we also have to add -e here. It's just the way Bash works. So this should work, and this is printing the code, printing the status code. We'll save it to the file after. Let's run it again. I'm going to open up the terminal. Now you can see 200 response from this, 200 for that, 200 for that. If any of these links were broken, we would see a 404 header. If any of these links were redirects, we would see a 301, 302, 307, or 308, something like that. If there were a server error, we'd see a 500 error. And so we can see that everything looks pretty good. If we wanted to make a report out of this, which is the last step of saving to a file, all we have to do is run the same command, but pipe it into a file. So we could say broken link report.tsv. TSV is a tab separated value file, and the reason I used a tab is so that we can open it in a spreadsheet. So let's run it again. It's just going to take a minute because it's sending the link. It's sending the links into that file, not into the terminal. So now this broken link report, we can look at the beginning of it. So we can say head broken link report, and that shows us the beginning of the file. We can open in a spreadsheet program. So broken link report. You can use Google Sheets, Excel. I'm on a Mac. I'm using the numbers program that comes with Mac. You can see how you could expand on this program and make it even more useful. So that's basically it for the program. If you have questions, leave a comment in the comment section below the video. Definitely check out the links in the description. I've written all this up in the blog in 3 different blog posts so far. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hope to see you in the next video.